What differentiates your strategy from other long-short equity funds?
Essentially, there's two aspects to the approach of Principia. The first aspect is a thorough fundamental research approach. We meet 10 companies per week of all different sizes, small, mid and large cap, in every country in Europe. And we search thoroughly for bottom-up interest in investment cases, where there's a self-help case, so it could be restructuring or a growth case, but it's based on the individual characteristics of the company rather than a theme or a sector-based approach. We combine that with opportunism, and so we utilize volatility to move in and out of names and to basically take gains from positions if it's possible by utilizing volatility. So combining fundamental and opportunistic investing, we try to derive a low volatility but relatively good return.
And in a negative scenario, how much protection could the fund offer?
Essentially, looking at history, the fund has been very protective of capital during downside. So if we look at very difficult months of European markets, or indeed of specific years, then the fund has mostly protected capital virtually intact. And the reason for that is essentially due to the fact that we try to be slightly contrarian in our exposures, and if the market's very optimistic and relaxed, then we'll reduce our overall net exposure and become more cautious. And then following a subsequent setback, we'll reinvest again. So essentially, we try to basically protect downside by making sure that our exposures are quite contrarian.
And finally, which are the optimal conditions for the strategy?
Because the fund's essentially focused on stock picking and not thematic or macro driven, when dispersion is high and there's lots of differentiation between stock performance, then the strategy works well. So if there's a meltdown because of a macro crisis or melt up because of, say, ECB interaction, then the strategy is camouflaged by the beta on both sides. If that beta becomes more normal and rescinds, then essentially the bottom-up stock picking characteristics of the fund come to fruition.